Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ask the Priest Live. This is our pandemic edition. Today is June 15th, 2020, the first day of the Apostles' Fast. So let's begin with our prayer as we always do, and then we hope to get to your questions, and we hope you'll post some questions here that we can get to. O Heavenly King, Comforter, Spirit of Truth, who art everywhere present and fillest all things, treasure of good things and giver of life, come and dwell in us and cleanse us of all impurity and save our souls, O good one. All right, good. People are signing on. I see that. That's great. Please let us know where you're signing on from. That's always interesting to me, and it's always interesting to the other people that are watching with us. So here's how this works. We're live, so anything could happen. It usually doesn't, but every now and then something funny happens. If we get cut off, we'll come right back on, so just stay where you are, and you'll get notified that we're back on the air. We try to be here every Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, and God willing, we can do that just about every Monday. I think we canceled last Monday. I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure. In any case, please join us every Monday if you can. Now, it's wonderful if you ask questions. People ask questions ahead of time. They send us emails and, post on our Google Docs and stuff like that, and that's super. We appreciate that. That's the best because it gives us time to prepare, or as you'll find in the case of some of the questions today, to be able to say, I'm not an expert in that, but I found things that I'll post, so we can all learn more about it. So you'll get to that. In any case, the first thing they taught us in seminary was don't make up an answer, so I'm not going to make up any answers, but please post questions here, and we'll get to the ones that we can answer, and the ones we can't, we'll research and get you the answers then. All right, so this is also an opportunity for our parishioners to kind of touch base a little bit. It's really nice. We're able to kind of get back to something like normalcy by worshiping outside on Sundays, and we can have up to 100 people present, so that's nice. That's usually takes care of about what our Sundays are, so that's really great. We're not having meals yet. We're not really having an opportunity to do other things, and so we hope that this program will give people an opportunity to ask some questions or to get some answers to things they might not have been able to ask about at church. Yesterday was the Feast of All Saints. This is a universal feast of the Church, and it's essentially the last time that we're all on the same calendar until we start the Lenten Triodian again in the winter of 2021, which God willing will be pandemic-free. But in any case, it's great that we're all together and serving the same services, especially on Sundays, but we just aren't able, unfortunately, to stick together after this. All Saints is a universal feast of the church. Then each of the local churches, usually this coming Sunday, will serve for its saints, right? So we have the All Saints of Russia, and then sometimes, like in North America, the next Sunday after that is All Saints of North America. But in any case, we're deviating into the new and old calendars now after this, and so we won't be exactly together for some time again, and that's too bad. Right, this week's culinary fast, as I mentioned, the Apostles' Fast begins today. So have a look at the calendar on our website. Not the Google Calendar, but when you sign on the right-hand side, it says latest calendar. I think that's what it says. In any case, click on that, and that shows you which day is what kind of Lenten day. And although there's sort of a standard, there's a little bit of a deviation sometimes. For instance, this coming Wednesday would normally be a strict fast day, but we're going to have liturgy. I mean, we didn't have liturgy to change it, but that makes it a wine day in the parish. You can't have liturgy without wine. And so in any case, there are slight deviations. Sometimes each parish is a little different maybe than another parish. So have a look at that so that you know about fasting and how you're supposed to fast. And if you haven't fasted before, or if you're struggling, you're not quite sure what to do, talk to me or Father Moses. We're happy to discuss that with you and help you to be able to fast most effectively as an aid to your salvation. Now, if we're honest about it, we don't have that many things that we're obedient to in our lives, but fasting helps us. It's one of those few obedient things that we can do. We can be obedient to the church, and that's really helpful for us and really necessary for us. And so fasting has a lot of benefits, but that's certainly one of them that we all can share And so I hope that you'll take it as seriously as you can. The fast is about 1 month this year. And ends, of course, as it always does, on June 12th. But it begins at a different time based on when Pascha is. So if Pascha is late, fast is really short. If Pascha is early, then the fast is longer. This year, Pascha was kind of in the middle, and so the fast is about 1 month. But it's much less strict than the Great Lent. We still abstain from meat and dairy products, but nonetheless, fish is allowed in many places, on many days, and so on and so forth. So have a look at that. All right, this week's Divine Service is at St. Vladimir's, so please look at our schedule on the homepage. You can see it all there, but essentially Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning, Wednesday evening, Friday evening, Saturday evening, Sunday morning. And Sunday morning, of course, will be outside, so there's no sign-up for that, but all the other services are inside, and there is a sign-up for that because we only have a certain number of spaces that we can use and still maintain appropriate physical distance, so please sign up for that. You'll find that sign-up on our homepage, also on the right-hand side. So look at that, and please sign up so that you reserve your spot to be able to attend the services that you want to attend. A few items, parish news. We sent out, of course, our weekly email today. If you don't get that, please send me a note and we'll be happy to add you to our email list. We're going to do our can drive, our returnable can drive one more time this coming Sunday. We did great yesterday. We filled up the bed of our plow truck, and we'll have that ready again for you. It is true that you can begin to bring returnables back today, but there's a limit. And there'll probably be a limit for some time. There's no limit at St. Vladimir's. Bring us as many returnables as you want. We're very happy to take them, and then we'll make sure that that goes into as a donation to the church. So thanks a lot for that. And this coming Saturday, there's going to be a Brotherhood Work Day beginning at 10 o'clock. We have some work to do on the sidewalk that surrounds the church, mostly around the bell tower and then in the back. We need to kind of expand it there so that when we are doing cross processions, we have a little bit more space. It's kind of a bottleneck there. So please join if you can, 10 o'clock this coming Saturday. Right. Okay, questions that were sent in the last 2 weeks. And please, brothers and sisters, do post your questions in the comment sections. I'll see them and we can get to those as the program goes on. So, I was interested by your suggestion a few weeks ago to use the 6 Psalms from the beginning of Matins in daily personal morning prayer. Could those be used, for example, as a substitute for the 10 prayers in the Jordanville prayer book, morning prayer service with the rest of the service the same, or should they be used in a different way? They can absolutely be used in place of the morning prayers. I mean, the prayer book is a textbook, right? It's a textbook to teach us how to pray. And we should read those prayers, those morning and evening prayers. But the fact of the matter is that after a while, we read them, and we're not actually praying after a while. We memorize them, and so what happens, we memorize them to such an extent that our brain just starts going off and doing other things when it's time to be praying, and that's not good. And so we have 2 kind of prayer rules in the church. There's the prayer rule like the morning and evening prayers, which has a lot of flexibility in it, and then there are the prayer rules like the prayers before communion, which do not have a lot of flexibility. We need to read those before we partake of Holy Communion. And the Thanksgiving prayers after communion, we need to read those after we partake of Holy Communion. But we need to have some flexibility in our morning and evening prayers, because otherwise we become kind of cold and dry as we memorize those. So a good trick, if you know another language, is to read it in that other language. If you begin to kind of have your mind wandering as you're reading your morning and evening prayers in one language, try in another language. It helps a lot. You have to be much more attentive, and you're approaching it slightly differently, and so that's very helpful. Another good tip, as I mentioned, is to read the 6 Psalms. You can find those in the Jordanville prayer book, which I think most of us use. They're in the Matins section, and those are good Psalms to be familiar with. According to the tradition of the church, those will be read at the Last Judgment. And those are read at the beginning of Matins every single day except during Bright Week. Except for Bright Week of the whole year. So essentially, that's a very consistent piece of the Divine Services and a good one for us to be familiar with. So that's a good one. You could also read a Psalter, a Kathisma from the Psalter. That's a good kind of replacement for morning and evening prayers. What's also helpful, if you're struggling even to kind of get the prayers done or to stand up and pray, get up, set a timer, and do your prayers. See how long it takes you to do your prayers. That's really a helpful trick. That's a St. Theophan the Recluse trick, a trick against yourself, so that you know how long it takes you to say the prayers, then it's very easy for you to say, okay, 10 minutes. I can do 10 minutes. That's not that hard. It's to help kind of work against yourself. It sometimes seems insurmountable to read our morning or evening prayers, but when it's 10 minutes, or maybe it's 15, depends on how fast you read. It's not a lot, but it's a great investment in our spiritual life, which pays back a lot of dividends. So strongly recommend that you do that, but it's okay to replace the morning and evening prayers as they're written strictly in the book, so that you're able to engage and pray well and not just kind of in a rote way blast through the prayers at the highest possible speed. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, this is the one that we're going to talk about later, because I'm going to post some information in the comment section later. In some of the Psalms, a unicorn is mentioned, and the bishop's staff has dragons on it. What are these fantastic creatures according to the church teaching? So I found a couple of really good articles about that I'm going to share with everybody, and rather than trying to kind of repeat them here and kind of mostly saying the right thing but some wrong things, I won't do that. I'll just post it in the comments section, those two links, after we finish our program tonight, and then you'll be able to read from the experts exactly what that is, but it's nothing to be scared about. It's actually quite interesting. I think you'll find them both quite interesting. All right, another question we got over the last couple of weeks: are we Orthodox Christians allowed to wish Muslim friends happy Islamic feasts like they do for us for our Christian feasts? I think that, there's nothing wrong with being kind to people. I don't see where that's a violation of our Christian faith. So like if we have a friend who's Jewish and it's Hanukkah, it's okay to wish them happy Hanukkah. I mean, we can argue about that's probably a perfectly good Christian feast too, but that's a different story altogether. And if we have a Muslim friend who's celebrating Eid, I just don't see how it's evil to wish them a happy feast. And I think that by showing and even I would say Christian love in this way, that can be a seed that is planted that can blossom later. But I don't see anywhere where being a Christian requires us to be unkind, or that's some kind of betrayal of our faith if we know that we have a friend who's celebrating a holiday that we don't celebrate. Yeah, so I just don't see why it's necessary for us to be rude or unkind. That doesn't seem to be what a Christian should do. So, all right, those are the questions that were sent in ahead of time, and now we're waiting for you to post questions. It's interesting. Facebook is different every single time, almost, that I sign on. So now when we see that you're watching, it asks me to wave at you. All right, so I'll do that. There, see, I waved at Kyle and Addie and Marina, and this actually helps to clear things off my screen, so I kind of like this part. So in any case, that's a new thing, and we're waving to Canada too. Hi, George. Thanks for joining us. Also, brothers and sisters, please don't forget, it's so important for us to be praying for each other. Right, we publish our parish prayer list every Sunday at 6 a.m. on our parish website. If you go there now, you just kind of go down until it says Sunday 6 a.m. and then it's right there. It's also in the parish publications page. And it's very important for us to be praying for each other, especially during this time, during the pandemic. Everybody's struggling. Everybody from the clergy to the laity to everybody to the bishops, we're all struggling with what it means to be in quarantine, what this pandemic means, how it is that we're supposed to execute the divine services and so on and so forth. There's just a lot of things that cause a lot of stress, and I think it's really doubly important now for us to be praying for each other than even before the pandemic. So I would like to also encourage people to take advantage of the divine services that we're having at the church. Some folks are working now, are back to work maybe at their offices. Some folks are working from home. Some folks still aren't working. We're still broadcasting the services on Facebook Live and on our audio stream. But if you're able to be there, sign up, take a spot, and be there. It's really important for us to be engaging in the divine services, and if possible, kind of getting out of the house a little bit. You should do what you feel is safe, but nonetheless, we're social creatures, and it's good for us to be socially engaged with each other at the divine services, even if we're not quite as close to each other physically as we used to be. It's very important for us to engage with each other as a community, because the parish is a family, right? The church is a big family, and the family is a little church. And it's great that we've had the opportunity to really strengthen and fortify our family church during all of this time, and that continues to be something that I think we can see as a blessing of the pandemic, and that we should take advantage of this opportunity opportunity to be together. We always say, or somebody retires and says, I want to spend more time with my family. Whether it was true or not, I don't know, but the Lord must have heard it enough times, and he gave us that opportunity, and we should advantage to strengthen that home church that we have, to say some prayers in the morning with the family, some prayers in the evening, and to try to really inculcate that spirit of Christian love in the family, since we're kind of stuck at home together. It's okay, but we should take advantage of that. All right, good. So, we talked about All Saints. Let's talk about the Feast of All Saints of Russia. It's actually not that old of a feast. I remember I was assigned once to be the person, not the main celebrant, but the priest that prepared the gifts on Sunday morning for the feast, and then that person also serves the vigil, is the priest who serves the vigil that evening. Maybe the hierarch will serve, maybe not. In any case, one of the responsibilities that the then is to read an akathist at the small Vesper service that takes place on Saturday evening. And that's got to be 25 years ago, so this must have really scarred me if I can remember it that far back. Anyway, I remember that this akathist was not written in Church Slavonic. It was written in Russian. So I ask about it, like, why is this one in Russian? All the other ones that we read are in Church Slavonic, and I was told, well, this is a pretty recent feast. It's a pretty recent feast, and this is all that we have, is that in Russian. So I thought that was very interesting. So nonetheless, a very important feast. We celebrate all the saints that have shown forth in the Russian land. It's a lot. It's not a question of who has the most, but it is very, I think, helpful and important for us to see those of our friends, loved ones, the new martyrs, yes, but also those throughout the whole time of the sort of 1,000 years of the Russian Church have found favor with God. It's very good and helpful for us. So anyway, the icon is very interesting of the feast. It's huge. It's the biggest icon we've got by far. So when it's out, have a good look at it. It tells a very interesting story from the baptism in the Dnieper all the way to the new martyrs of Russia. They're all represented on that very big icon, and it's a really good teaching tool. So have a look at that. All right, good. So we've got a question. Let's see. All right, when we pray for others, are we helping them if they themselves aren't praying for themselves? Example, if you want to help someone but they don't want to help themselves, will our prayer for them actually help them if it's about man's own free will? Okay, so that's a great question, and I think we all have that question on some level, right? And the answer is this. The Lord isn't going to force us into anything, right? It's as mentioned, it's about free will, right? That's one of the greatest sort of ways that man is made in the image of God, is that we have free will. And true love can only come from free will. It can't be forced, right? So God doesn't violate that. That being said, when we pray for others, even if they're resisting what we're praying for, it can help them maybe to come to their senses. It can help them to sort of see another perspective. It can always come back to us. Showing Christian love by praying for someone is always going to benefit us. We shouldn't do it for that reason. We should do it magnanimously to pray for others, to help them. But, we should also be careful about the way that we pray, right? I think it's sometimes tempting to say, God, please help this person to see my wisdom. Well, that's actually not the most important thing in the world, believe it or not, is imposing our wisdom on somebody else. We want their salvation, and I think it's very important. We may be specific, Lord, please help this person like this, and most importantly, give them what's best for their salvation. Right? This is the way that we want to approach God, not sort of saying you need to do this, this, and this if you're going to make me happy, but please help, and most importantly, please give this person what's best for their salvation. If we can do it that way, we can have peace about what is happening. We show real Christian love and real trust in God by making sure that we sort of finish off the prayer that way. Right? It's nothing wrong with saying, like, okay, my mom is sick, please help her to be healthy again, and most importantly, please give her what's best for her salvation. So if we can do it that way, then I think we're doing it right, and it can be for our good as well, not just for the good of the person we're praying for. So super good question. All right, let me just go back through this and see if we've got any other questions. All right. So I want to think a little bit about this fast and ask you to also think a little bit about this fast. On one hand, these summer fasts, for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, can be difficult. because we smell our neighbors cooking sausages and hamburgers and so on and so forth, and that can be a bit of a temptation. On the other hand, in the Northern Hemisphere now, we're starting to get the first sort of fruits and vegetables, fresh fruits and vegetables are starting to become ripe. And I think we should really take advantage of that. Okay, I'm not going to have a bowl of ice cream tonight, but I'm going to have a bowl of, like fresh strawberries. How much am I really suffering, right? I mean, I would say I'm not suffering. I'm probably not only helping myself, doing something healthy, but I'm also not going to, it's not going to be a bitter challenge to eat those strawberries. So I think we want to kind of look and see what it is that the Lord is giving us and try to sort of incline ourselves towards that and be thankful for what he is giving us. Again, obedience is higher than sacrifice. This comes from the Old Testament, and this is from the time when really nothing was higher than sacrifice in the Temple of Solomon for the Jews, and nonetheless, this is what they wrote, and this is good, I think, wisdom for us. So, in any case, try your best to engage with what the Lord is giving us during this time, so that we can struggle in the fast. But just because we're struggling doesn't mean it can't also be pleasant, right? We shouldn't be a glutton. We shouldn't be a gourmandizer. That's a good word. Should use this word more often, gourmandizing. It means loving certain kinds of foods and refusing others. But nonetheless, we can enjoy what it is that's available to us and be thankful that the Lord is blessing us in that way. This year we're kind of have a special blessing because the fast ends on a Sunday. So here, at least in Michigan, we're kind of promised that we're going to get to the next step in our quarantine release plan sometime around Independence Day on the 4th of July. And that will be really great that we're able to kind of celebrate even more. We're planning to have our first parish meal on the 12th of July. We'll do it according to all public health guidelines, and it's not going to be, sit down and be next to each other, like this. Obviously, that's not going to be anything like that. We plan to have it outside, and we plan to have plenty of distance for people, but nonetheless, we're going to have an opportunity, and I think that's good, and I think that's helpful. Yesterday, we saw that happening anyway. Like, we didn't have a meal, we didn't encourage people to kind of get together after church, but they did anyway. People were talking in the parking lot. It was kind of like tailgating. Somebody said, look, it's like we're tailgating at a football game, and it's true. That's kind of like what it was. Good, bad, or ugly, I'm not saying, but it's just like that's natural for us, and so on the 12th. We're going to be doing that. Now, if you have ideas or you want to share concerns about how that's going to happen, we'd really love to hear that. We want to do this as best as we can, causing the least amount of angst for people and to make it really possible for folks to engage each other in a safe way. But that's important for us. That's important for all of us to be able to engage. And by doing it outside and by keeping reasonable distance, we hope that it's going to be pretty darn safe. But in any case, talk to one of our sisterhood officers, or you can post a comment here if you like, and I'll be happy to share that with them, and they'll see it anyway. But in any case, that's a good way to get that feedback, and we really urge you to give us feedback. We also really want your feedback about the outdoor services that we have been having. Now, yesterday was the second week in a row that we did that. And it was nice. For the first time, all of the clergy in the parish were able to serve together the Divine Liturgy since we began the quarantine. So about 3 months since we all served together, and that was really nice. After the first week, we got a lot of good feedback. People said, this is about the microphones, and we should do that, and we should do this, and this. That was really helpful. That was super helpful. And we were talking already on our parish council. We have like a discussion list, and we were talking about that again today. What could we do? How could we make it better, and so on and so forth. And for those who are watching on Facebook, we totally got the message that the sound is not perfect, and we understand that. Yesterday it was windy, so it's probably worse than not perfect, and so we're going to be bringing in some external microphones and hope that that's going to raise the quality. Facebook Live was not made for outdoors. It just wasn't. And so there are certain things that we can do, and we're going to keep trying to do, and we want your feedback. We want you to tell us, but we're working with something that wasn't made to do this. But in any case, for those who were there, we had way more sunshades up yesterday, and we heard that that was welcome, and we probably need a few more, and we'll continue to do that. On Pentecost, we had 80 people I don't remember how many for communion. Yesterday we had 84 people and 47 for communion. So that's great. That's really wonderful. People are starting to come back. The choir sounded great, just like it did on Pentecost, and we're very, very happy and thankful for that. So it's all starting to come together again, but your feedback is really helpful and really valued. So please let us know what you think, and so we can continue to do it better. We have a few other things we can do with the sound that we're going to fiddle with. Yesterday was way better, but still there are a few things that we need to do to make that better. Not on Facebook, but I mean at the thing, because we're using microphones. There's the sound just kind of goes off into the sky, right? So it's not like inside where you have the opportunity to save the sound waves. So we're using microphones, and we've heard what you've said, and we're trying to keep getting better. And we ask your prayers too, because these are all volunteers who are doing these things, and they're working really hard and coming early to church and staying late to clean everything up. And we're really appreciative of everything that they're doing. And for those who can't do that, we ask your prayers for those folks, so they'll continue to be zealous and strong and be able to continue doing that as we go forward. All right, super. So nobody else is asking any more questions, and that's okay. Sometimes we go longer, sometimes we go shorter. There's no right or wrong. If you have a lot of questions, we go longer. If you don't have a lot of questions, we're going to go shorter. And so it looks like today's going to be a shorter one. That's okay. Think about questions that you'd like to have answered, and please ask those if you are finding this program and it's not live, because it'll be on our Facebook page after this and also on our YouTube channel. You can still ask questions in the comments section. We'll either address them in the comments section this week, or we will save them for next week. So don't hesitate. Share the questions that you have. There are no stupid questions, just stupid answers, and you know who's giving the answers, so we'll try not to make them stupid, but there are no stupid questions except the ones that you don't ask. So please share. If you have a question, I bet somebody else does too, and you'll probably help them with their spiritual lives as well. All right, let's pray, brothers and sisters, and then we'll say good night. It is truly meet to bless thee, the Theotokos, and ever blessed and most blameless and mother of our God, more honorable than the cherubim, and beyond compare more glorious than the seraphim, who without corruption gave us birth to God, the Word, the very Theotokos, thee do we magnify. Good night, everyone. We ask your prayers.